Our next discussion is going to be new frontiers in sports, play, fitness, and more. And we're hoping that's going to expand our understanding of the concept of sport and, of course, to include health and well being as well. May I invite our set of panelists for this discussion on the stage? Warm welcome to Mr. Deepak Raj, country head, Ironman India and Hydrox. Can we have you come up on stage, please, sir? As fit as ever, Deepak Raj is one of India's foremost endurance athletes and a driving force behind the country's triathlon and hybrid fitness movement. Good to have you here with us. Of course, the co-founder and CEO of Yoska as well. He leads the pioneering digital fitness platform that offers structured training across running, cycling, triathlon, and general fitness as well. Inviting on stage now, Samir Pathak, President Pickleball. Can we have Samir join us on stage, please? He is the president for Pickleball at Times Group, leading the company's entry into racket sports with a focus on scaling pickleball and padel in India. Previously, Samir also served as CEO of the Global Chess League, where he pioneered the world's first franchise-based chess format. Good to have you here with us, bringing a diverse experience of multiple sports. May I invite on stage now Ms. Neha Parab Kandalgaonkar. She is the Vice President and Head of Corporate Communications at ProCam International. With over 2 decades of experience in the sports industry, that's what Neha brings to the dais at the moment. Currently with ProCam International. Of course, she's developed and executed integrated campaigns for flagship events such as the Tata Mumbai Marathon, Vedanta Delhi Half Marathon, TCS World 10K in Bangalore, and the Tata Steel Kolkata 25K. I've been happy to work on a few of those events with Neha, so we go back a long way. Good to see you once again. And may I invite on stage Mr. Parveen Dabas, co-founder Pro Panja League. They've just successfully completed another season of Pro Panja. It went off very well. It was just last month. We all know him as the fantabulous actor and recognize his memorable performances in movies such as Khosla Ka Ghosla. But beyond screen, he has emerged as a dynamic entrepreneur and shaping the landscape of Indian sport. As I said before, co-founder of the Pro Panja League, redefining the perception of arm wrestling in India, taking a very native sport and giving it a very glossy feel. And may I invite on stage Mr. Tuhin Mishra, MD and co-founder at Baseline Ventures. Can we have Tuhin join us on stage, please? Director, Prime Volleyball League as well. Brings so much of experience, does Tuhin. Across media, advertising, and sports management. He co-founded Baseline Ventures in 2014 with a vision to create more meaningful opportunities for athletes. He's managed some of the top athletes in the country, and of course, Baseline is the lifeblood of the Prime Volleyball League as well. We have another season coming up pretty soon, if I'm not mistaken on that. Well, this is going to be a very interesting discussion. To moderate this panel, may I invite Aparajita Biswas, Head of Marketing at the Hindu Group. Very popular among her peers and widely respected by one and all. A seasoned marketing specialist with over 15 years of diverse experience across telecom, F&B, and media industries. Aparajita has successfully led and nurtured some of the most renowned global brands, including Vodafone, Times of India, Carlsberg, and Cafe Coffee Day, and of course, now with the Hindu Group. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Raman. Good afternoon, everyone. Before we start the session, I want to share something very interesting. You know what's the most difficult part of organizing such a large-scale event like PlayCom? It is to find a befitting session right after lunch. And I think I must give full credit to the editor, Ion, and his team to put up this panel of sports evangelists and such a high energy panel of sports evangelists who are redefining sports and breaking every stereotype. I mean, who wouldn't want to listen to Deepak from Ironman India, where athletes voluntarily sign up to bike, run, swim until their legs give up? Then we have Samir, who is leading the pickleball revolution. Might sound like a snack, but it's a fast paced mashup of tennis, table tennis, and badminton. Then we have Neha, who is transforming these large scale running events into a blockbuster shows. And of course, Parveen arm wrestling stereotypes with Pro Panja League. And finally, we have Tuhin transforming volleyball from beach pastime into a prime time entertainment with Prime Volleyball League. So, what are we waiting for? Let's dive in. So, my first three questions will be open for anyone, and then I will ask specific questions to each of you. The definition of sports in the country is expanding dramatically. From performance to competition, it's now becoming all about fitness, community, entertainment, and personal achievement. So, how do you think that these new variants of sports redefining the entire ecosystem?
Uh, can I start?
Yes, yes, yes.
See, in any for any industry to grow, you will have to have a look at a pyramidical approach. The bigger the base, the higher it will go up. What is happening with sports in India is the base is expanding. New people are coming in. If you look at chess, which I was part of, it's a youngsters game. There's, you know, 10-year-old, 11-year-old are being extremely competitive in that, and you're getting grandmasters at 13, 14. That base is expanding. On pickleball, on the other side, it's 30, 35 plus folks that are coming in hordes, and that is expanding the base. So the more you expand the base from different angles in volleyball and arm wrestling, from different strata of life and different age and different genders, the base is expanding, and as the base is expanding, the pyramid is rising up to the top, and then you'll start seeing excellence coming in there. And I think that has been uh, the acceptability of sports, not just as a sport, as a community exercise, as a character building exercise for schools encouraging, parents encouraging, uh, as a fun thing to do with colleagues or family, like in case of pickleball. I think a whole bunch of new elements which are new to Indian sporting scene are coming, but they are known, and these things are known in other parts of the world. But they're all great signs. Uh, I think we are all in it in a moment of flux. I think the time has come. I think it will be a big, huge hockey curve in the next few years, if not even probably even sooner than that.
I think
Yes, Neha.
for us, today running in India is 20 years old. We just in January celebrated the 20th edition of the Tata Mumbai Marathon. On 12th of October, we'll celebrate the 20th edition of the Vedanta Delhi Half Marathon. I think these two events really set the stage for running in India. And now, what's exciting for us is that these are no longer metro phenomena and increasingly becoming gender neutral. I think that's the key for us. So today, in every part of our city, every part of the town, there are multiple running events that are organized, community runs, yoga programs, fitness festivals. In our races itself, we are seeing over 20 to 25% of increase in women participation. And this is not just a 5 kilometer. There are timed races like the half marathon or full marathon, which are seeing increased number of participation. So I think that database, that base of people who want to be active, want to engage in a more fitter lifestyle is slowly increasing. And I think one beautiful part of participative sport, as we all represent here today, is that it's created a cultural and a social mind shift in people. 20 years ago, if somebody told me that a 65-year-old man or a woman would want to run a half marathon or participate in a triathlon or any of the other endurance sport, it was unheard of. But that has been possible today. And I think that's the beauty of participative sport.
Yeah, I think as you said, the base is widening. And just to add on, for example, High Rocks has about 33% women participation. And globally, it's about 45, right? So we've just started 4 months old, and we know we'll get there too. So that's increasing. And as she said, the running as a participative sport is wide. When we brought Ironman to India, there were only a few triathletes. But now they're once they get it here, it's a lifestyle. And if you look at the gym going public, they never had a race or a sport. They were really disciplined, active, everything else. So when High Rocks came in, maybe the base is not expanding, but an existing base now have an event to look up to. So I think each of us are doing it in very different ways, but that's how I think it's growing.
I think up till now, sport had a very narrow definition in our country, which is expanding now. Of course, when we talk about new sport, also, we're basically talking about non-cricket and now non-kabaddi sports,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Because if I speak about ourselves, it's kind of ironical but good in a way for ourselves. Panja is one of the oldest sports in the world, right? But it's seen as a new sport now, which is great because it's coming with a fresh appeal. And I think culturally, as a country, we are also changing, which allows uh, where people want to be a part of, all of these events like High Rocks and, chess has been huge, but now, becoming acceptable as a sport where you can make a living and everything, and volleyball and all of these sports which are growing. I think the government does have a hand in that as well. We've got to give them some credit that they have kind of made it acceptable, and a lot of states are starting to follow in line with the whole Olympic movement and bringing sports and understanding the soft power of sport to a country. And I think that is what is being understood by the people in power and is making a big difference. And of course, as we change as a country where we have more time to give to fitness and races and all of these events, and I think that change is going to be very, very rapid now. So, and again, congrats to all the people on the dais right now who have made a huge, huge difference, to sports being acceptable and watched now in our country.
Okay. First of all, let me be a sales guy first here and slip in my promo for the league, which is the season 4, which starts from October 2nd. Prime Volleyball League, you can watch it live on Sony Sports Network and YouTube. That's my sales part, so that's over. Uh, I completely agree with everyone who's what they've said here. So when we actually decided to look at Prime Volleyball League, uh, what we actually had to do was we had to connect the dots. Volleyball is the second biggest played team sport in the world. Just to give you a fact, UN has around 194 odd countries. FIFA, the global body for football, they have around 206 member countries. Volleyball, the global body of volleyball, FIVB, they have 210 member countries. So there are more member countries playing volleyball than UN per se. In India, volleyball has a huge base across regions. The only problem that we saw and that was an opportunity was people in India saw volleyball or global volleyball once every 4 years when Olympics happened or Asian Games happened. Incidentally, Olympics, India obviously never played the team sport of volleyball, or they could never qualify. But the ratings that volleyball as a sport they got during Olympics, it was among the highest viewed sport on national television, in spite of India not playing. And what we realized was that if we could create a professional league and give a platform to our Indian volleyball players, because our boys, they play at a very high level. I'm talking about men's volleyball currently, indoor volleyball. They play at a very high level and they just needed a platform. And that's what we did. And that's how the genesis of Prime Volleyball League started. So I think each one of us, we are playing a part trying to kind of spread the message, give an opportunity. And also I think for young players, it's also becoming an aspirational thing to come on TV, become national heroes. Suddenly, there are people who are coming for selfies. They see it as an opportunity to make more money, obviously get recognition. And at the end of the day, if they can play for their country and bring laurels, then there's nothing like it.
I think all of you just echoed the same sentiment that these participative sports, making the entire ecosystem more accessible, more inclusive, and experience driven, along with nudging people to play and not just watch. So that brings me to my second question, that these emerging sports are attracting a very new set of audiences, right? From hobbies to fitness experts, young IT professional. So tell me, what are you guys doing to drive mass participation?
So I think for us, we've always used multiple touch points and methods to ensure a combination of traditional and new measures which will help us increase in participation. According to a Red Seer report, there are about 140 million health active users in our country, which means these individuals have downloaded some app to track whatever that they're doing. It's walking, swimming, badminton, etc., etc. So the market is there. So what for us, what has worked is in the last 20 years, for example, when I talk about the Tata Mumbai Marathon, the spectacle is what has attracted people, the emotional pull, which is like, I want to be running on the ceiling. I want to stand on the ceiling and click a picture, or I want to be seen on television. I want a platform to talk about my story. So that emotional pull has always been there. And when you combine that with new age measures like, exciting strategic brand partnerships or technology driven engagements, that kind of helps us to accelerate the participation. We have multiple categories of participation, so it's not restricted to a person who is very serious about health and fitness, who only wants to be competitive. You have other categories like a dream run, which is more about people coming together to just have fun on that start line, be a part of something larger and bigger than themselves. You have something called as a senior citizens run, which are people who are over the age of 60 get a platform to celebrate and get center stage. So I think ensuring that you have multiple touch points for your races ensures that it increases participation at all levels.
So I have to say, we keep mentioning very clearly that we are not just making a league, we're making an ecosystem. Because we literally almost had to start professionally from a blank slate, right? There was no precedent for how arm wrestling is done professionally, though there was a decent sized amateur scene. And one of the benefits that is there now, which was not there in the beginning, but now is that we also have some control over the federation. My wife Preeti is the president, that's why I say some control. But the benefit of that is, what we first did is we wanted to adopt both a top-down approach and a bottom-up approach. So we made, of course, we put together, we did various tournaments before we came out with the first season. But the Pro Panja League gave all of these athletes something to aspire to, right? But of course, you got that tournament now, which is touchwood seen as the biggest arm wrestling tournament in the world, Pro Panja League. Now the thing is, we had to, of course, develop a much bigger set of grassroots level events, which is where the federation comes in, district level, state level, and it's very, very active. And also, we promote tournaments throughout the country. We made a certain structure of how we are sanctioning events everywhere and what they have to do to be able to get sanctioned. And there's been a huge boom, and a lot of times it's not seen because it's not in the cities. Of course, you have a pickleball court in every corner now, so it's not seen in the cities. But in your tier 2 and beyond towns, it's phenomenal, the kind of growth we've seen and the amount of arm wrestlers, players who have come in, basis on what we're doing. So there's a huge participation now. And part of that also, we are also getting international events now to the country. We did something called the Asia Cup in October 24. This year in May 2025, we did the official Asian Arm Wrestling Championship. Next year, I've not told anybody this, I'm announcing it for the first time, is we've got the rights to the World Arm Wrestling Championship for next year. So, thank you. The benefit of that, now, it's like, what's the benefit? Is it's not cheap for these players to go abroad, plane ticket, expensive hotels. So for us, the main reason to do these international events in India, because it's a huge headache, right? We're already doing the league and other events. It's a huge headache, is that our players get international experience at a much lower cost when the event happens in India. They can catch a bus or train and come much cheaper hotels. So at a very, very small cost, of which we are also offsetting something at, literally nothing, they are able to now brush shoulders with the best of the best from around the world, which gives them more confidence. You're making stars. People are winning gold medals. India, for the first time this year, came second in an international event in the Asian Championship. We came second, and the number one country was Kazakhstan, which is also number one in the world. So arm wrestlers across the country are getting that confidence that they can be up against the best, which we are now. And because of that, we are creating stars, which is leading to a lot of other younger players coming in and driving that mass participation across the country. We did one event in Aswal, Mizoram, where 20,000 people showed up for a star player who had come up, won a gold medal in the Asian Championship. So who would have thought a couple of years ago, that you'd see 20,000 people come up for an arm wrestling event? We surely didn't. So we're very happy to see the kind of growth and mass participation we've been able to drive over the last couple of years now.
Allow me to add. In pickleball, the advantage is it's a rocket ship. It's just taking off, and there are thousands and thousands of people who are literally being introduced to pickleball every week. So one of the interesting things that is happening is rankings. Now, anybody and everybody, there are a lot of tournaments now. So these tournaments are getting allocated. It's a PWR 50 event. It's done by the federation. PWR 100 event, PWR 200, going up to PWR 1000. And if you play in these tournaments, you get points, and those points are like ATP points. You get ranked. So now you have ranking among thousands of players. So I could be ranked, say, 1,320, and Parveen could be ranked, 1,100. But then you break it down. Eventually, it will come down to city level. So this city is Gurgaon's probably top 10 player. Then it comes down to academy level. So imagine, not only are you playing, but you're also playing for something larger, something that is more distinctive. That has happened in chess with ELO rating. But in pickleball, the advantage of actually playing in multiple ranked tournaments, like ATP does very few and far in between. But in pickleball, we are seeing 4 to 5 tournaments a weekend that you can get ranks for and keep rising the ranks. And the kind of work that Parveen is doing, in the same in pickleball, the first Indian team for pickleball just got selected on 29th and 30th August. That is representing India in Pickleball World Cup. So there's a World Cup happening in Miami in end of October. The Indian team is going from, and it has under 16, then men, and then even above 50. So the inclusivity of those, so you have a team that is going male, female, both in different age categories. So the more these things happen, the more sport will pull in, because then there is something to keep them hooked, something like a ranking or something like an aspiration to even represent India uh, after 50. I am definitely one of the candidates. I want to be there. Someday want to represent India. But those are the kind of things that fuel aspiration and ambition and helps the flock together and adds more flock to the game.
In our case, in volleyball's case in India, what we are trying to do from the league side is that we are encouraging all the teams to start doing stuff at a grassroots level. Because again, I would say as an opportunity, as a sport, we still feel it's a pretty disorganized sport. We need to just organize it at a ground level, and that's slowly happening because now a lot of teams are opening academies, and these academies are not just meant for the senior players, but players who are at the grassroots level, coming from humble background. So one of the teams, which is a team in Prime Volleyball League called Bangalore Torpedoes, they've opened a volleyball academy in the Prakash Padukone Rahul Dravid Center of Excellence. Then we have Mr. Thomas Muthut, who owns one of the teams from Cochin. His daughter was part of the panel earlier, Hana Muthut. They've actually now building a huge infrastructure, and they will also have a volleyball academy there. Again, the idea is that can we spread this message of this global sport, a sport which is very inclusive. In India also, our league, the viewership, as per the BARC data, the viewership is 57-43 between men and women, which means it's one of those sport which is not male skewed, which means that can we actually involve more and more women as well to take up the sport, or they're also seeing a kind of a roadmap for themselves, and that is happening. Plus, just like cricket, while prime volleyball or PVL is at a, say, at a central level, at the apex level, but a lot of now states are also now doing their own state leagues. Now that also becomes a great feeder system for our, say, a national league, say, prime volleyball, because a lot of these young players unheard of, they are getting to a chance to play in these state leagues, and suddenly, some scout from one of their teams in our league are able to kind of see those players. So obviously the development has to happen at multiple levels, and that's what the whole aim is for all of us.
Yeah, I think the panel primarily touched upon the fact that people here are getting access to international competitions which are coming over here, and also an ability to travel to World Championship. That's the same when it comes to the Ironman or the High Rocks. One of the other things we've done is, I think like everybody, we put community first, right? So, and building that ecosystem. So we are certifying gym trainers, we are affiliating them, providing them content, so that it's just not about the race which we put up, but it's the training building up to it. We also have different age groups. Every 5 years you have a different podium, so everybody feels pretty inclusive about it. We have singles, doubles, and relay, which means you can start off, right? You can just give it a shot to see if you like it. That's something we have done, and we're also trying to design even the venue such that spectators can have a very good flow and watch the event, right? Very few spectator sport, or at least, sorry, participative sport like endurance fitness, where you're able to follow the person from start to finish. By doing that, we're getting those people interested. Obviously content helps, so that content being shared definitely is fueling the sport. So those are a few things which we are doing at our end.
And I would also like to add, especially a case like, say, Parveen. Parveen is a national face, right? So when people see him being involved with a sport, which is at a very genuine level, it actually inspires a lot of people to really see that, as a sport, it can be taken up. There's a path towards it, and there's a certain genuineness towards the whole association. Similarly, we've also seen it in our own sport of volleyball. When we done a season one, we did it in Hyderabad. That was at the midst of COVID, and we had to do it in a bubble, which is 2022. Right when we were doing it, we had one of the South superstars, Vijay Devagonda, who plays a lot of volleyball at his personal level, who reached out to us saying that I want to be associated with this because I know I have this huge bunch of guys at a rural level, at a city level, who are big followers of volleyball. How can I be involved? And he started doing stuff and he actually acquired a team or became a co-owner in the Hyderabad team. Similarly, now this year, which is not, I'm not going to name the person, but one of the top Indian cricketers who loves volleyball has actually become now one of the co-owners in one of the teams because he loves to play volleyball. Now, suddenly, when you have these people who are coming at a very organic level, because I remember one famous Bollywood person had told us when we were trying to structure this whole league, yaar मेरे को पैसा दो मैं तो कुछ भी कर लूँगा, right? But there's a difference when I'm taking these names who are genuinely who want to do it, and the whole message or the awareness spreads a lot more, and people can, and in today's time, people can understand between paid ad versus a genuine promotion.
I think absolutely. I'm picking up from what you just said, Toheen. Whether it's volleyball or Panja or pickleball, marathon, triathlon, I think we are seeing a lot of corporate interest and investment. The next question is, how do you think that these new formats are creating a much more inclusive and commercially viable ecosystem?
Well, if we talk about inclusivity, we from the very beginning have men, women, and specially abled, on the same platform from the very beginning, from our very first ranking tournament. So we've got 6 weight categories for men, 3 for women, and 1 specially abled, and they're all paid according to the ranking the same amount. So if a first ranked man, woman, or specially able, they're all paid the same amount, and that's been part of our policy from the very beginning. Now, when it comes to, of course, commercialization, right? I've always believed from the very beginning, you first have to make your league watchable, right? You have to get the views. from what we're looking at. Other people might be looking at other things because some leagues are a little different, premium, they're more ground events, they're different kinds of sponsors. But what we were looking at was mass appeal, you know, tier 2, tier 3 beyond, and of course main cities. One thing that really surprised us after our first season was the amount of people who are watching in cities like Mumbai. We never thought we'd get, you know, the kind of viewership we did in cities like Mumbai. But for us, the main thing from the very beginning was, okay, let's concentrate on making this sport watchable and getting the viewership, and from there everything else falls into place. And I think that is what's happening. Season one was a kind of a proof of concept for us, and a lot of people stood up and noticed. And in season two, we got sponsors like Royal Enfield coming in a big way and supporting us. So for us, that has always been the path of how do you make it watchable and get more viewership, and everything else then falls into place.
I think even when we debuted Iron Man way back in 2019, not too many people from a brand's perspective. But I think participation. I think Neha will back me on the numbers. About 60 to 70% participation in some of our sports are coming from a corporate background in some manner, and that helps because that's what some of the brands who are already championing the sport or the health and fitness journey within that brand helps. That's taking a long way because it's if you have to explain to somebody what Ironman is, then trying to sell them as a marketing and then a promotion thing very hard. But if someone in the top management already understands the sport and the impact it has on the community and on the lifestyle, it becomes a little easier. That's something. In case of High Rocks, we're just 4 months old. But in terms of numbers, we've doubled our participation numbers, albeit in smaller capacity. But the spectators are the TG, and the target audience which we're looking at is the age group, and the propensity to spend by these participants are there. So those are some of the levers we are using. Ours is not yet maybe a broadcastable sort of an event compared to maybe other ones. So at our end, we are primarily looking at who are the people who follow the sport, do the brands find them attractive, and at the same time, primarily it comes down to growth of the numbers and participation. That's where we are.
The biggest advantage with pickleball has been the accessibility. It's a very easy game to start out with. If you have played badminton, squash, tennis, table tennis, it's easier, even more easier. And I would encourage any one of you, there's a pickleball court right behind in the area to go and try. Now, what has that done is it has made the sport very inclusive at the beginning stage itself. So you are seeing different kinds of tournaments, from parent and child tournament. There is a tournament that has parent and child where a father or a mother plays with his son or a daughter. Or there is RJ Anmol is doing one, a CXO pickleball tournament in Bombay. There is one pickleball by the Bay taking place in Chennai. Now they are all ranked events. And there you see, because it's done differently, I've got Shivam here, runs one of the agencies. He's reaching out to me for his set of brands, saying my brands are interested in pickleball because they see their audience, their target audience being part of it. So then it becomes incumbent upon people in the fraternity on how do you cater to it and how do you deliver. There are banks, insurance companies, all kinds, because they've seen that the participation profile and the participation is actually taking off from all directions. So you will see more and more brands come, and as long as you deliver to brands the audience that they want, or deliver to brand the audience that they want, I think they'll keep coming back, and that's what I'm hoping for as we continue to build the pickleball ecosystem. That the brands are there, the audience is there. I think we need to match them together, and I think we have a win-win on our hands.
No, I think what's interesting about this participative sporting ecosystem is the influence that it has on multiple people. So, for example, if in my family I have a runner or I have somebody who's participating in High Rock, I am bound to influence 10 to 12 of my family members, colleagues, my people in my society, or stuff like that. So I think that kind of creates more and more interest. And with every new person who wants to join the movement, it leads to more, of course, gears, gadgets, apparel, services, and experiences. I think that's what we are living for today. I think we are all living in an experiential economy, and everything that touch and feel helps to elevate that experience is what we are looking at. So I think, we as all our brands are trying to work towards, I think we can easily be more than what cricket is today in our country, sheer in the number of people who we manage to put on the street and the business it generates, or the commerce it creates for multiple industries, be it retail, be it apparel, be it tourism, getting people from different parts of the country coming to participate in the smallest of cities is a great achievement for all of us put together. So I think that's the beauty of participative sport. The circle of influence that it manages to create is not there anywhere else.
Absolutely. I think Samir just shared the pickleball aspirations in the country. So let me ask him, do you think that it has the potential to become the next big sporting craze in India, or is it going to be remain as a weekend hobby?
It's already on its way to being. I would say, while I'm sitting in the seat I am, it's already a craze. Uh, I don't think there is any other sport that anybody would have heard in the last 2 to 3 years that you keep hearing all about, or it's on your reels, or you start seeing things around. So it is already on its way. It is incumbent on people like us who work in this fraternity, the sports fraternity, the folks that are here, to actually give it structure. To see an Indian pickleball team going and playing for India is that again step in that direction. You see these tournaments, the ranking system, the entire sports manufacturing economy that is spawned around all of this. Suddenly, in 2 years, 3 years now, you have the paddle manufacturers all around. And what you spoke about the experiential economy, I can tell you 10 different things that are happening where experiential experience has been put in the center, and pickleball is part of it. So all of that is happening, and I think as the base widens of the players that are coming in and of different kinds, I think the sport will find its footing even on a firmer platform. And like I said, above 50 India team, under 16 India team, and everything in between. I think those are the kind of structures when they put in place, along with ranking points, will give it what it needs to actually. I don't want to call it just a craze. I think it becoming even more mainstream than where it is right now.
Thank you so much. My next question is to you, Deepak. What are the unique challenges you face when you localize global fitness events like Ironman and High Rocks, and especially catering to the Indian audiences and athletes?
I think two different things I might have to, because in case of Ironman, it's an outdoor sport, a lot more road closures, government permissions, approvals. High Rocks being an indoor sport, but I think adapting it, we have not compromised on anything, be it rules, integrity of the sport, quality, and things. It's been actually positioning and getting the community engaged, right? Actually letting people know and making them aware. I think that's been the initial challenge when it comes to Ironman. The same with High Rocks. High Rocks is 4 months old from a debut, but we've been working much before that, right? So until we put the event and the product out there. So I think governments are starting to give us more support. Like Goa Tourism, thanks to them, they are the title sponsor for our Ironman 70.3 Goa. Why? Because we get about 30 to 40 countries who participate, and obviously Goa being a tourism hub. The same when it comes to a new race we've launched in Chennai. I know Meghnadhan Reddy and Atulya sir spoke yesterday. We've signed an MOU with them, right? So we have government starting to support, and that's the, if you want to call it a challenge, that's the effort involved in building on the Ironman side. In case of High Rocks, it is the venues. There are not too many large convention centers. It's not even a sports stadium. Where we organize this is actually in large convention centers, which are, we need 12,000 square meters. And if anyone's listening out there, if you know of a lot more of them across India, do give me a shout. But that's sort of the challenges of adapting it, because in other countries, there are quite a few large convention centers in most cities. So those are some things for us, but we are now adapting to what's available out here and putting the sport out there.
Neha, you have been talking about community engagement. So tell me, how do you design your events to strike a balance between community engagement, brand engagement, competitive landscape and also making it commercially viable? I know that's lot lots to balance, but yeah, how do you design, keeping all these aspects in mind? Yeah.
It's a tough one to answer, but I'm going to try my best to try and cull out the most important takeaways for this audience. So when we started, when our promoters started and thought that, they want to get a running event in India, it was based on five big pillars. That time the sport didn't really exist, so having pillars had only so much meaning. But since then, the effort has been there to ensure that we try and match our efforts towards carrying those pillars forward. So the first one was pride and prestige to a host city, which means whichever city I do the event should showcase the best of India to the world. So if it's Delhi, I will showcase the best of what Delhi is to the world, be it through live television, be it through the kind of athletes I get, or the ambassadors who endorse us, or sheer participation that we get from people. The second was boost to Indian athletics. 20 years ago, distance running was at the bottom of the athletic chain. They were really not given their due. But because of events like the Tata Mumbai Marathon or the Vedanta Delhi Half Marathon, the athletes got an opportunity to participate with the best in the world. Like last year in Delhi, we had Joshua Cheptegei, who is the 5,000 meters and 10,000 meter world record holder. Where would an Indian athlete get a chance to be on the start line with that? And that kind of motivates and inspires them to perform better, perform more, strive for more prize money. So that was the second pillar. And with this pillar, what happened was that you have brands like a Puma or an Asics investing in our distance runners today. This never happened earlier. You always saw endorsements when it came to cricket or football or tennis, but distance running didn't really get that. And that has changed for us. This pillar has changed that for us. The third most important one, and something that's very close to our heart, is philanthropy. Running events or marathons are not just about health and fitness. It's an opportunity for people to give back to the community, to be part of something that's bigger than themselves. And today, Tata Mumbai Marathon is the largest sporting platform for philanthropy in our country. In the last 20 years, with the help of 500 odd corporates, 1,000 odd NGOs, we've raised around 450 crores for multiple causes. So I will not tell you that you run for a particular cause. I will tell you, you run for whichever cause is close to your heart. That's been the beauty of it. The fourth one is, of course, health and fitness. More and more people have engaged. There are more and more run clubs starting. People have become extremely conscious of what they eat, when they sleep, how much they drink. So that's been an interesting one. And the last one is social harmony. We have always tried to make our running events inclusive and make it a celebration. So it's not about just coming on that start line and racing to finish in a particular time. That's, of course, a part of it. But we also want people to come and be part of the celebration. And all these pillars have been only achieved with the support of the government, our sponsors and partners who've shown the faith with us and stood by us for the last 20 years. And that's why, it's become into a movement and it's moved away from just being an event.
Parveen, my next question is to you. Pro Panja League has a very, very strong entertainment quotient and also mass appeal. So, how do you balance sports integrity with entertainment?
Thank you. First of all, the integrity part is, I mean, non-negotiable, right? We just don't touch anything that's happening on the table, to up the entertainment quotient. For us, the entertainment quotient is before and after, and of course, what is entertainment, right? What is entertainment in terms of sports also? That's the question everybody has to ask themselves when they're starting a league, right? Is it, are people going to watch? At least that was our biggest challenge, and that was the biggest doubt that everybody had, for our sport, because it's a sport that everybody has connected to from their childhood, school, college, सबने खेला हुआ है, right? But the whole question in people's minds was, इसको TV पे कैसे डालेंगे? How are they going to make it a long event? And for us also that was a challenge, but I always knew that the innate spirit of the sport is, very interesting and something that people would want to watch depending on how we put it together and package it. And the way I saw it and kind of approached it from the very beginning was because we were learning also, right? Before we came out with our first season in 23, we actually had started in 2020 doing events because that's where we were learning from. Okay, let's start doing these events. Let's do them in different ways. Best of 3 rounds, best of 5 rounds, best of 7 rounds. Let's see how people are taking to it, and we're learning how the players are, and all of that learning will go into the first season, right? So we kind of approached it, coming from a film background, I looked at it as a film, because filmmakers are also very insecure ki Friday opening kaisa rahega, but that insecurity helps because it's what drives you to do better. But that insecurity should not make you, it should not be seen, if you know what I mean. When you try to do too much, people don't like it. It's like in a film, when you pack it with too much masala, it gets, it becomes too much. तो वो दाल में कितना तड़का लगना चाहिए, that's the magic of it, right? लेकिन तड़का तो लगाना पड़ेगा. So a lot of that was a learning in terms of, even starting with the promo. For us, the promo is like a movie trailer. That is the first thing that people see every season. So for us, it was very important to make a big, and an interesting promo. Our very first ones were, story-based. They were, we hired a Bollywood choreographer for one of them. We made various trailers. This year, we had a different theme. We had Mr. Sunil Shetty, luckily, who's a partner of ours also, and we had a theme, Beast Mode On. So every year for us, I'm already planning the trailer, and the theme for next year, because I know that is the first thing that is going to interest people, whether they want to watch it or not also. And after that, of course, it's like when you watch it, then you want to watch the rest of the time. It's word of mouth, blah, blah, blah. But for us, it was a very tricky thing, right? Is getting players who are being honest on the table, but it's the before and after also, right? I keep telling players that it's not just about winning, but how you win also, right? And it's not just about winning and shouting, right? It's about being yourself also, and how you express yourself in different ways. And for us, the sport itself was the entertainment, right? And if you, and the athletes are also very smart, and they picked up very quickly. We used to have, because we also dealt with the lockdowns, COVID. Our very first tournament was 3 weeks before the first lockdown. But we kind of used that lockdown to our advantage because we had no other choice. Okay, we've done our first event. How do we make it better? How do we make it more entertaining? Let's look at this. We used to have workshops with our athletes, online workshops, talking about what's to be done, social media, blah, 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 to grow the sport. One thing that we, kind of learned during lockdown is, okay, let's put the table in front of big heritage sites. So one of our very first events after the lockdown was putting it in front of the Gateway of India. Doing it on top of a boat in Goa. Putting it in front of the Gwalior Fort. And so on and so forth, which added to the whole aura and atmosphere of the thing. And then it came down to players as well. And if you see now, the players have learned, because they started seeing some players, if they're doing something which is natural to them, they're getting a lot of views. And other people were like, how do we, and of course, they saw that we are also at Pro Panja in, our media, social media was sharing those accounts. Like one of the first videos of ours which went viral on social media, because the first 2 years we struggled. Of how do we put this out, how do we get people to watch, was the video which went viral wasn't even of the match. It was of a Punjabi dude, on the table with his opponent going, brrrah, yeah, jatda din hai, aja, and all that kind of shit, which people love though. And that video went viral. It went 25 million views, and kind of really, kind of made us sit up and notice, like, and at that time, I was literally struggling with our social media team, trying to find stuff. And I kind of picked that out, myself, saying, let's just try this, which has nothing to do, with the thing, but it's, something different. So that kind of got us going, and it got other people also, but not in a false way, because I want to make this very clear, is you cannot, उसमें acting नहीं चलती, you have to be yourself, and you have to express yourself. But we kind of created an atmosphere where the athletes were able to express, and now, it's the celebrations which have become a big thing. You got, players on the stage doing Cristiano Ronaldo, hey, celebrations and all, different kinds of things. There are some players though who don't do anything. They're just those silent kind of guys, and they get a lot of views as well. So, players have learned along the way, and it's been a whole process, 360-degree process of how do you, keep the sport kosher, of course, which we always, that's forefront, keeping the sport kosher, but adding the entertainment, quotient to it. There's various other things which we've started, something called the Bullet Bacha round, a challenge round, and various other things of making sure, overall the sport, people want to watch, they're loving the players, players are becoming stars, blah, blah, blah. It's a very long conversation. For now, I'll stop at that.
But as a marketer, Parveen, what I can say is please be bold with your tadkas.
Thank you. I'm trying to be.
Yeah, like how Prime Volleyball League has taken a bold approach by adopting the single entity model. Tuhin, do you think that this is the best fitted, commercially viable business model for volleyball?
See, actually, when we started Prime Volleyball League, one thing was very clear. I'm sure all of us who are sitting here, we are all involved with something which is non-cricket. Non-cricket, as you all know, there is no money as such when you are starting. So that's always the biggest challenge. And what we realized was that, yes, when you're doing an IPL and you have the big daddy like, say, BCCI, then there are more people chasing you, right, with money. It was the other way around. When we were trying to do volleyball, we realized that, one, we cannot have a monologue kind of relationship with our team owners. The first and the foremost thing that we did when we created this whole model of Prime Volleyball is that every team owner is also an owner in the league. This is probably the one and only, that when we had started, was the only league in the country that every team owner can also proudly say that I also have a stake in the league. The reason is that we realized very beginning that we have to swim and sink, or say drown together. So if there is something good which is going to happen, the spoils are going to be shared by everyone. And that is something became the I would say the solid foundation for us, because now when we do a league, say in Cochin, the Cochin owners or the Kerala owners who are there, they try and get us the best possible deal for that city, because they use their influence to see how we can bring the cost down. Similarly, when we do in Hyderabad, the owner in Hyderabad is not bothered about only his own team, because mostly what happens is when you're doing a team-based league, the owner, and I'm not saying right or wrong, they are mostly bothered about their own team, right? Here, they are bothered about the league. How can I bring the cost down? Because when you're doing any project, right, it's revenue and cost. Revenue, and I can say this in this forum or platform, that the broadcasters, they don't pay any money to any of the non-cricket leagues, right? So the only source of revenue is your sponsorship, right? Gate revenues are actually minimal. So if anyone comes to you with a pitch and puts on an Excel sheet that you're going to get these many crores of gate revenue, please, merchandise, please, it is almost zero. So you are actually hoping on, counting on your sponsorship revenues at a central level and at a team level. So that is something, it's not within your control. The only control or the only controllable item is actually the cost of the league, right? And that's where, as a league, when we had started, we were like 100% sure we're going to follow this system. This is a system which is followed in MLS, Major League Soccer. This is a system which is followed in NBA, even EPL. It's a private body. And for us at Prime Volleyball League, we are probably the only professional league which is privately run. And our belief and faith was, it's all in public domain because of the issues that we had with the federation at that point in time. Our belief was, if sectors like steel you have Tata Steel, JSW, and SAIL. Telephone, the whole telephone category. If you can have MTNL and BSNL coexist with a Vodafone, Reliance, and an idea, why can't in sports we have both private and public, bodies trying to do stuff because it's for the betterment of the sport, and that's a thing that we've kind of done, that we wanted to keep it private. We work with the global organization of volleyball, FIVB, very closely. All our foreign players come through their system. And the whole idea is, for us, the biggest, I would say, joy for us was in 2022, after a gap of 40 years, that India reached the quarterfinals of Asian Games. The last time India had reached the quarterfinals was in 1986. And all these boys, the 12 boys who represented India, they were all part of Prime Volleyball League. On their way to the quarterfinals, they had defeated the previous edition's silver medalist, South Korea, and the bronze medalist, Chinese Taipei. So when we see our boys doing well, I think probably that's the biggest joy as, I would say, league organizers that we get.
Thank you so much. I think we are running behind the schedule, so we won't be able to take up any audience question right now, but they are available for networking. So please, join us at the coffee lounge. And I must say, in fact, I have to say that, the media should come forward to, support this new sport variants, and also to help popularize these sports and create new opportunities. Maybe we will soon see Ayon Sengupta, editor, Sportstar, and Casey Vijay, the sports editor, Hindu, writing lead stories on these sports, yeah? Sorry, Casey and Ayon. But yeah, I mean, a big round of applause to these sports evangelists, and thank you so much for being here with us and sharing your journeys with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aparajita, and on behalf of Ayon and Casey, I'm saying thanks for the additional pressure and the hint as well. Thank you very much to our esteemed panel. Before you all leave, I would request Aparajita to do the honors and present a small little memento and a little appreciation from our side. And Tuhin, thank you once again for calling out the elephant in the room about the broadcaster monopoly, something that he doesn't really refrain from, does he? Neha, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Thank you once again. We've had a fantastic session here with Deepak, with Samir as well. Not to forget Parveen Dabas and of course Tuhin. Credit to what they've done with leagues other than cricket, and credit goes where it's due.